हाँ भाई अच्छा मैं रिकॉर्डिंग ऑन कर दिया
Okay.
I was so excited. Should we laugh a little bit? That's okay. My question is, have you ever friend-zoned a guy?
Have I ever friend-zoned a guy? That's an interesting one.
Obviously, of course.
What do you mean, obviously? Why is that so obvious?
Really? I feel like every woman's done that.
I have definitely friend-zoned people before.
You've never friend-zoned a guy?
No.
Ever?
No.
Why do you think you've never, like, do you just say yes to whoever comes up to you?
If someone comes up to me, I just don't entertain people if I'm not interested. There's no friend zone in my life because I have enough friends. So I either block them or I'm like, okay, my place or yours.
What did he say?
Straight up, girl. Okay. Why do you think women friend-zone guys? What's the reason?
Chemistry.
Chemistry. There's no way you want every guy that asks you out.
Right.
So you friend zone them.
Women tend to friend zone guys when they are a little too interested in them. We love the chase.
So the answer is that we want toxic guys, huh?
Hell yes. Red flags, yes.
Except I don't see red. I see green when I see red.
Yes. Guess what my favorite color is?
Red.
Green. Green. When I say green, I mean red.
I think it's necessary. I'm someone who likes to avoid conflict.
A guy will come to you and you sense that he likes you, but he's being very friendly.
And so I don't love to make enemies, obviously. And so I try to make that as smooth as possible if necessary.
And from the beginning, you know you don't like him. And so you sort of like play to the friend side of things.
Do you remember somebody you just recently friend-zoned?
Not really.
Come on.
I do have a funny story.
You know what? The only one that comes to mind is our mutual friend. The one that I never dated. Not the one that I kind of
dated.
might have.
I love how much tension's here. But you can say the name. I'll blur it out. Like it's. Who would have fucking thought? I was like, wait, Jonathan? Like, what the fuck?
Everybody in our friend group thought Jonathan was so sexy.
That's so funny to me. Because Jonathan, to me, like, he's a strong fucking guy. But sexy is such a weird term to describe him.
There's this one guy in New York City. All right. There's where we're starting. It was just kind of extremely different. You could just see two paths kind of diverging. And that was kind of where I friend zoned.
So this one guy who was super interested in me, I wasn't. He got a little Ganesh Ji for me when I was leaving for Glasgow.
And then, of course, he unfollowed me on the socials and I think probably blocked whenever. I was like, I'm not trying to cause problems,
And that was the last message that I ever entertained.
The last string that was pulled was, do you want your shorts back? Right? So
That's such an important piece of item to be. Please give me my shorts back, please.
He's like, I got your Ganesh Ji. I'm like, okay.
Bye-bye. Tata.
How is giving somebody a statue of Ganesh Ji a currency of I like you too much? Like, how do you say I like you too much by giving somebody Ganesh Ji, bro?
Dude, if I give you a Ganesh Ji, I like you too much.
What is this universe? Do you remember ever friend-zoning a very attractive guy?
Yeah, I think that happens often because just because you're attractive doesn't mean I want to be with you. It doesn't mean I want to spend time with you.
Why would you friend-zone a hot guy?
Because I was dating you.
Oh, okay. That makes sense, guys. That's a W right here for all of us in the chat. Now that you've heard the women talk about the friend zone, now let's, as shades, talk about friend zone. Okay? And we'll dive into a bunch of things here. From a topic standpoint, we'll talk about what is the friend zone as opposed to what it is not. And you'll see why that's important when we touch upon it. We'll talk about why you get into the friend zone. And to talk about why people are friend zoned, guys are friend zoned, largely guys are, because women are friends with benefit zoned. We'll talk about mating economics and signaling, which is similar to dating economics and signaling. It's an interesting idea. I don't know how many times you've heard of it before. Third, we'll talk about chemistry, because that's an important subject. You hear the word being thrown around quite a lot, but nobody really knows how to define it. It's pretty ambiguous. And so we'll talk about what chemistry means. And then lastly, I'll give you my strategy, stuff that I had to learn along the way because I had nobody to help me with this stuff that I started using to make sure I did not get friend zoned. Okay, let's begin with the definition part of it. What is the friend zone? And definitions are important. Definitions are important because unless you're able to define a problem, you're never truly able to find a complete solution. If you define something improperly, no language labels apply at all in any way whatsoever. The whole intent of thinking, look, historically, thinking evolved into philosophy. People were initially just thinking about shit. Then they started calling it philosophy. And then philosophy got broken down into math, physics, biology, so on and so forth. Because certain rules became formal in thinking. So thinking became philosophy, philosophy became all these subjects, right? And the whole point of philosophy was to begin defining things we thought about collectively. Okay, this is it. This is that. That's what we started saying. If you look at Pythagoras and Euclid, all of these guys started out as philosophers, eventually got called mathematicians because they were defining the formal rules of mathematical thinking. Got it? So, the definition of friend zone is, and guys, if you relate, mention L in the comments, is when a guy gives and gives and gives for a very long time. A guy gives emotionally, right? He is always available for her. A guy gives in attention. He spends a lot of time with her. He solves her problems. And he becomes this giver for a prolonged period of time until he finally tells her, hey, listen, I like you. And she looks back at him, smiles and says, I like you too, but as a friend. And it wrecks the guy. He's officially friend zoned. But more than that, what has happened is that the emotional impact of this shakes up his faith in himself, shakes up his faith in her. He starts thinking women are like this. He starts thinking there's something wrong with me. Sometimes they start thinking there's something wrong with the natural process of looking for a relationship, right? And women don't necessarily understand, not that it is their place to understand, but what the friend zone does is very often truly shakes up a guy's confidence in him and things around him. That's the friend zone. That's the problem we'll tackle in this video. Then there is also the case where a guy does not go through the entire process of giving, but very early on mentions, hey, listen, I like you or whatever. And she's like, sorry, I like you as a friend. The words are the same, but it's not a friend zone. It's more of a rejection. And you'll come to see why this difference is important, right? Because, well, one fundamental reason is you can never avoid rejection. Rejection's constant, no matter who you are, no matter what your pursuit is. Sometimes your pursuit is mates, dates in this context. Sometimes it's money and success. Sometimes it's whatever spiritual stuff you're along the journey of, and you'll get rejected in all of them. Rejection is pretty much the cost you pay for success. So this is rejection, right? And this is going to get very important when we begin answering why friend zones happen. So keep that in your head. Let's talk about the why. And before we delve into the why, let's see the problem and let's map it out properly with words. So, when you begin to answer the question of why friend zones, we have to begin by answering or elucidating, expanding, spending time on understanding the concept of mating economics and signaling. What is mating economics? Look, at the end of the day, who you decide to end up with is an economic choice you make. It's not to say it's an economic choice in the sense money is involved or whatever. It's only to say you make choices very similarly in the economic domain. So we are borrowing economics as a metaphor and applying it to dating and understanding it. In the dating world, in the mating world, mating is the biological, historical process of making babies and raising them. Dating is the modern compressed version of it. In the mating world, men are the demand side, women are the supply side. Men demand access to sexual resource and child rearing abilities. Women withhold or provide access. Got it? Both the demand and the supply want the best option available to them. Because as opposed to in a market situation where the product is external, where the product could be my phone or could be something else, here the product is you. So you want the best option because you are only one and you will spend time with them. So men want the best women available, women want the best men available. Foundational. Now, the problem is that there is imperfect information. Is that the demand side does not know what the supply side wants and the supply side does not know what the demand side is. The men do not know what women want, and women do not know who men truly are. What is available to them is all the information that is in the interaction itself. And make a mental note of this point. This is going to be important. That mating economics is a demand-supply problem. The demand side is men, the supply side is women. Both want the best option available to them, but the problem is there is imperfect information. People just do not have enough information. When a woman meets you, she does not know who you are, up to down, top to bottom, left to right. Same way, you do not know what she wants, up to down, top to bottom, left to right. So what you do is rely on the information available within the interaction to conceptualize who the other person is or who the other person wants, and then, behave accordingly. This is the economics of mating and dating. And what happens in the interaction is the signals that you pass on, is what people use to formulate ideas of you. This is going to be very important. Hold on to this. I'll tell you. So, one of the emergent hot takes, hard truths, whatever you might want to call them, is understanding that when people go for relationships, long-term relationships, they go for people only slightly above them, slightly better than them. Both parties think my partner is slightly better than me. Because one, you will never go for somebody who's not better than you. It's just not going to happen. You want an option that's slightly better than you. And two, if you go for somebody far better than you, way too better than you, then it's a one-sided relationship. The power dynamics are one-sided. Both people kind of sort of understand that there is possibility of abuse, toxicity, you get dumped, heart gets broken, all of that shit. So this is a very interesting thing to see. You'll see, like if you go to a college, okay, so say if I throw you in a random nearby college and you see all the people who are dating, they roughly are on the same level of attractiveness. Because people want slightly better than themselves option when it comes to relationships. But understanding dating economics and mating economics helps us really understand why friend zoning happens. Number one of the reasons, the foundational reasons why you get friend zoned is because you're just not attractive enough. And to understand what attraction is made out of, we have a video. I did a whole 50-minute proper analysis of what male attraction is made out of. It's called Fundamentals of Attraction, a complete guide for men. You can go check it out. But this kind of a friend zone that happens because you're not attractive enough isn't truly a real friend zone. It's more the rejection category. You might have asked her out 3 months, 6 months, 1 year into it, but she'd rejected you day one because you're not attractive enough. Right? And again, if you want to learn more about it, Fundamentals of Attraction. That's a rejection. The second one is when you're attractive enough. And in most cases, you are attractive enough because people only approach people that are roughly within their range of attractiveness. You've seen, right? You've seen guys say, you've probably done it yourself. Oh no, she's out of my league. Oh no, he's out of my league. So people, no matter how attractive or unattractive objectively, only approach people that are within their range of attractiveness or unattractiveness. So the odds are you are meeting somebody who should be interested in you, roughly, but is not, because even though you are attractive enough for them, you don't fit. There is something missing, and women will often call it a lack of chemistry. Women will often call it a lack of chemistry. This part is purely conversational, purely interactional. Theoretically, you are attractive enough, but there is something about our interaction. There's something about the way we are talking that's just not it for me. That gives me more friendly vibes than more relationship or dating vibes or mating vibes. It's as simple as that. The third category is when you are just not her type. There is other circumstances. She may have a boyfriend. She may have just broken up. Her family doesn't allow it. She doesn't have the time. She's moving somewhere. You're moving somewhere. There are extraneous conditions under which this happens too. Those are conditions we will not focus on. And I like to think of them as being part of rejection, not friend zone. Because look, there is nothing you can technically do about a situation like that. She's just not looking for a guy like me. That's it. That's rejection. You just got rejected. It's fine. So category 1, which was you're not attractive enough, and category 3, which is all this extraneous, extra circumstances of you not being her type, she being too busy, something. These are rejection categories. The friend zone category is when you're attractive enough, which in 90% of the cases you are. You can be more attractive. There's a video on that. But it's the conversational part. the interactional part. It's the part of you expressing yourself. It's the part of you engaging each other in an interaction that you're failing at, right? And part of the reason why we did do art of conversation is exactly this, because 60% of your life is social. 40% you can spend in your head maximum. 60% is the world outside, and you need to know how to master the conversational stuff. But it's good for you. I'm going to cover all of this today in this video itself. So, what is this conversational part? What is this stuff within the conversation? What is it that I can do for, myself to get communicated properly, for myself to not get friend zoned? And it begins with understanding the idea of chemistry. Chemistry is what a woman will say she did not find when she's about to friend zone you. Like, one of the classic symptoms I love to observe in the wild is when she's like, he's so sweet. It's just this, you're ending in the friend zone, bro. This is what she'll tell you before she friend zones you. You're too sweet. She won't say you're too sweet. She'll say you're sweet, but it's going in that direction. And you'll begin to understand why. Chemistry is the ability to hold tension and play with it. Follow this very carefully. Chemistry is your ability to hold tension and play with it. Tension is effectively getting someone's heart racing. It's as simple as that. Getting somebody's heart racing. If you go down to the depths of understanding the psychology of emotions, you'll learn, forget it. We can get into it. But I'll give you the rough gist. Emotions are basically physiological reactions, which is stuff that's happening in your body, like your heart racing or sweat or whatever, and a psychological label on top. So chemistry is this idea of being able to hold tension and to play with it. And tension is your ability to get her heart racing. So, if you've never entered a situation with a woman where her heart is racing and you've managed to stand still in that place and play with her heart racing, play around the situation, right? You have never built chemistry into the relationship. One of the most interesting things to look at when you watch a reality dating TV show, whether that be Indian matchmaking, whether that be Splitsvilla, whether that be Love Island or any of these shows, because everybody there is fairly... Indian matchmaking, they're not as attractive, but roughly in all of these shows, they're attractive. Even in Indian matchmaking, the guy that's meeting the girl is roughly on the same plane of attractiveness, right? What ends up happening is the guy never builds tension in the interaction. There is no chemistry in the interaction, and the woman's like, yeah, I don't know, on paper he's perfect, but I just don't feel anything. And so she friend zones the guy. She stops calling him. She's like, no, I'll pick someone else depending on what the game show rules are. Right? So, what to do to get her heart racing? What to do to add tension? What do I do for building chemistry? Okay. Point number 1 is express intent. Most of you guys wait way too long. Months, years sometimes before you express intent. At this point, bro, it is completely impossible for anybody to maintain tension. At this point, things have devolved into friendship. You just did not say you are attracted to her at the right time. It's just gone way past that point. And think about it. No matter who, try doing this with your chowkidar if you have to. Try doing this with your bus conductor if you have to. Look them in the eye and be like, you know what? I kind of like you. Their heart is going to accelerate. It's as simple as that. The heart rate is going to go up, even in a guy where there is no scope of any romantic interest. Just being able to tell the woman that you see her as a romantic interest is enough to get her heart racing. Or you could just compliment her. Compliment her in a way which is not generic. Don't be like, oh, you dress so well. You could say that to your friend. That's why you get friend zoned. Because you give compliments that are generic. Try this. The next time when she's talking to you and she's spending enough time talking to you, stop, pause, look at her and say, dude, the way your eyes move when you talk is so adorable. Now, this is not a compliment you give to a friend. This is an explicit show of intent. It's not as out there as maybe saying, hey, listen, I kind of like you. But it's right up there. Show intent sooner. It's so important. There is a caveat to this we'll arrive at, but understand this. This gets our heart racing. Now, if you can say this and hold tension and then play around it, have 7 more sentences in there, have a 2-minute sort of focus on that subject, that's it. That's it. You introduce chemistry into the equation already. Number 2, and before I move on to number 2, take a second, reflect, go back and think about the number of times you've not done that. Because I can think of the number of times I've not done that. The number of times I made that mistake. Number 2 is being a bad boy. Be a bad boy, my bro. Now, before people get all like, oh, you're asking me to be a bad boy. No, I'm asking you to be less nice. The problem is, if I said be less nice, it does not work the same as saying be a bad boy. Nice people that are too nice think that they're just nice. They're not too nice. Nobody thinks they're too nice. So when you tell them be less nice, they're like, oh, are you asking me to be a bad boy? Yes, I'm asking you to be slightly more bad. Why? Why? Because of the exact reason that I had you remember imperfect information. Bro, there is no way in hell she knows enough about you. She only knows what is available in the conversation. And if you in the conversation are showing that you'll bend over backwards and, oh, you like ice cream? Oh, I love ice cream. I love ice cream. Oh, you like Shah Rukh Khan? He's my favorite. If you're going to be that guy, if you're going to be that man, if you're going to accommodate everything she throws at you and just be, yeah, I will be a blank canvas, shit's never going to work, my friend. I'll give you an example. Take this painting. I can't even point. That painting, that one. Or take this painting, right? This painting right here is worth $5,000. That painting is worth $10,000. Which one are you more likely to think is better? The one that's more expensive, right? It's as simple as that. The idea is, we don't know enough about paintings, you and I. We have no idea. We don't know enough about this world at all. So we rely on information we get in this interaction to formulate an idea. And when you are too nice, you might think you are giving her special treatment that you don't give to others. But she doesn't know that. She has no idea. She thinks you are this way. You are just hyper accommodating. You'll bend over backwards for her. You'll just do whatever in the world for her. And she's like, well, that has to be a cheap option and I am only interested in expensive things. Remember, dating economics. She wants somebody who's better than her. And so being a bad boy does not mean being an asshole. That's not what I'm asking you to do. I'm just asking you to tease her, for instance. You are so afraid of losing her, you never even tease her. You just compliment her and make her feel safe and secure and good, which is important, don't get me wrong. But it has to be matched with the complimentary part of teasing her, presenting her a challenge, disagreeing with her sometimes, being assertive about your way of doing things. And look, when I say being assertive about your way of doing things, I'm not saying tell her, hey, it's 12, you should sleep now. No. Being assertive in your life about your way of doing things. Hey, I'm sorry, I'm kind of busy right now. I have to do something. No, I don't like eating non-veg food. No, I actually don't like ice creams. I think it's one step closer towards diabetes. And one of the simplest ways in which you can be a bad boy or less nice is don't answer a question. What do you do, Prakhar? Well, I talk shit on camera for money. What do you mean? Well, I have a very expensive PC and I have a very expensive camera and I switch it on and I talk about things I've been thinking about and people like it, so they pay me money. I never once said I'm a YouTuber. I could have just said that, but I refused to answer that question. And it automatically created this sense of play. Where are you from? I'm from very dangerous places. You don't want to know about it. I took the most boring question, where are you from? Faridabad. Where is Faridabad? In India. And I made it something more interesting. I introduced this element of tension by not answering her question. That's all, by not accommodating her request. And it's not to say be an asshole. Definitely not. What I'm asking very nice, extremely accommodating men to be is slightly be more about yourself. You are not her boyfriend yet. You are not her husband yet. You are not one unit right now. So don't accommodate everything hoping she sees it and understands it. Be yourself. Be more okay with your preferences. You can take whatever question, by the way, and not answer it, and it automatically becomes funny and intriguing. What kind of cameras do you use? You know, the big ones that look really big? Yeah. Suddenly it's kind of sexual, but you see my point? The third one is adventure. And adventure is an actual experience. This is not something you can communicate in your body. This has to be a shared emotional reality. And a shared emotional reality is a very good definition of chemistry. Right? So I'll give you an example that you've all seen. Most of you have seen DDLJ. Pick any Bollywood movie and watch it. Pick any Bollywood movie where they go to Europe or America or one of these places, and the girl and the guy are suddenly like running and lost in something, and they have to like escape something. And by the time they're done, the woman looks at the guy looks at the girl, and he's like, "Oh, I think I'm having feelings for you," and she thinks similarly too. But what has essentially happened is they've just gone through a very emotionally dense moment in their reality. And when they look back, they think it's because of each other's company. This shit literally happened to me this weekend. Like, not with a woman, but I was out in the city in New York, and I was attending my roommate's graduation. And so when I was walking back, there was a bunch of people who had chess tables, and they were playing chess right there. And so I decided to play chess. Anybody who knows me knows how much I worship chess, right? And so I decided to play chess with these guys. And in playing chess with them, these guys bet money. They play for odds. So if you win, you make $10. If you lose $10. If you draw, you split, right? You make none and you lose none. And so I played 3 games with these guys, with this particular guy, and we ended up splitting 1.5. So I won 1, I lost 1, I drew 1. And because there is all this money involved and there's all these people watching, and you're doing it on the street and you're just focused, and right, it's an emotionally dense experience. It's a miniature adventure of sorts on the chessboard. When I got up, I looked around and I'm like, fuck yeah, I love this city. What really had happened is that I just went through a very emotionally dense experience. But what I attribute it to is New York City. When this experience could have happened under a flyover in Kolkata, and I would have gotten up and said the same thing. This experience could have happened in Mathura, and I would have gotten up and said the same thing. And this is the exact thing that happens in DDLJ when Raj and Simran go through Europe, and this is this huge moment of liberation for Simran, and she thinks it's because of Raj that she's liberated to this extent. It's really that simple. Go on actual good dates as opposed to sipping coffee in front of each other and hoping it'd be a great date. Go on an actual adventure. Go play laser tag. I don't know if your city has that. Right? Go do and be safe, okay? But do an actual adventure. Is one of the foundational things when men and women meet in a spot where they're going through tough stuff and they emerge from that tough stuff, the odds of them to like each other at the end are more, because they've just shared an emotional reality for a continuous period of time. The next one is a fast-moving man. And a fast-moving man is a man that has both passion and drive. Think about it. When you look for employment opportunities, you look for a boss that is moving up fast and is intelligent. He knows what he's about and he's moving up fast, because this is going to be a whole journey for you. It's as simple as that. There is enough examples of friends you make that are so passionate and driven about their stuff in whatever small domain. You're like, I want to be friends with that guy. And even if you do not have a directly relatable instance to that, think about it more logically. A fast-moving guy, a guy who is both passionate and driven, ensures that the woman who's going to be with him is going to be on a roller coaster. Women truly appreciate that in men. They like a guy that's responsible enough to get his shit together, passionate enough to be smart about something, and then, driven enough to do it. It's an indirect tension builder. It's not direct, it's not right here, but it's an indirect tension builder. So number 1 was intent. And intent you can do through asking her out or complimenting. There is being not a nice guy, which you can do by teasing her, by being assertive about your way of things, or by not answering a question, which is an easy hack I just gave you. The third one is adventure. go on actual fun dates. The fourth one is a fast moving man. The fifth one is play. And play here is meant, there are guys who talk about nothing at all, nothing in particular. There is no one subject they're talking about, but they're just talking about some random shit that they're laughing along with girls about, right? Like I have this friend whose younger brother who's particularly successful with women. He's probably the stupidest guy I know. One of the stupidest guys I know. I know some more stupid guys, but he's particularly stupid. And he talks absolute shit. But the woman and him are sharing an emotional reality about nothing in particular and just dancing around it, cracking jokes around it. You know some of those people who can talk about stuff that means nothing at all and just laugh about it with other people. And what is happening in that moment is they're playing together. They're playing with words. The toys they're using is words. And in that moment, they're building a shared emotional reality. They share for a long period of time. They're adding tension. They're getting each other's hearts racing and they're sticking around for it. This is a moment where they're looking at the same thing as opposed to looking past each other. This is why attractive people who are conventionally attractive, bro, you are so successful, you're so good looking, why do you not have a partner? Is because we talk past each other, not at the same thing. We are not sharing something. We are running against each other and crossing each other. That's what's really happening. Another key way of adding tension is telling a good story. Because the rest of these things are all experiential. A story is taking an experience and putting words around it. It's as simple as that. Telling a good story, taking people on a journey with you using just words, going up and down and left and right. Like there is this, and I mean, to actually be able to tell a good story, you need to experience good stories, right? You need to be in those situations. But there is something to be said about the pure craft of adding proper details, of adding a proper structure to the things you've lived. You've probably met an uncle who loves telling stories, and when he tells stories, it's all great stories and everybody loves to listen. It's for the same reason, because when they tell their stories, everybody kind of experiences that. That's proper art of conversation. Telling a good story is pinnacle art of conversation, right? And like, the things that a good story will do in an interaction is quite fantastic. Because for the 3, 4, 5 minutes that you'll tell a story, everybody is in rapture with your emotional reality. It's a given chemistry builder. I have this story I was telling Alexandra, who you saw earlier, about, because she's from Colorado. And I was once in Colorado, in the Rockies, in the forests. And I was maybe all of 21, 22. And I got lost in the Rockies overnight with this homophobic white dude. And it's one of my favorite stories to tell people who are from Midwest America, because it was one of the strangest nights. We had no water. We were between the top of the mountain and the parking area. We did not know how to get out because it was dark. And we were all I had was a lighter in case a bear or something showed up. And when I tell that story, there are all these details to it that really grip people into an emotional reality, right? And that works so well in matters of like building chemistry or adding tension and so on and so forth. And finally, offering somebody exclusive access to you. Now, this access could be monetary, right? Like if I had a Bentley and I had somebody sit in that Bentley with me, I drove to their place, I had them sit in there. I have a friend who's a pilot. When he takes me out for spins in the aircraft, I feel special. We are sharing an emotional reality. There is some element of tension. It's not sufficient tension. It's not, that's all, if you take me for a ride, it's enough. No, but it's adding tension to the relationship. I definitely feel special. I definitely feel appreciated when he invites me. Think about how that works out in a man-to-woman interaction. There could be monetary exclusivity, but there can also be emotional exclusivity, which is a tension. Tell me about your problems. Tell me, what is bothering you? How can I help you? Just giving somebody that amount of emotional exclusivity can amp up chemistry. The tricky part is that exclusivity is not just about giving access, it's also about withholding access. That there is as much power in saying, tell me about your problems. There is I skipped. There is as much power in saying, tell me about your problems, as there is saying, listen, I'm too busy right now. We'll talk about it sometime else. Listen, I don't think this is the relationship we share right now. Or just not saying anything at all, not going in that direction. Because a lot of people, and they make this error, they think that being in a relationship is the same as being before a relationship. That courting somebody, that trying to become somebody's girlfriend or boyfriend is the same as being somebody's girlfriend or boyfriend. What they do is they give unabashed access, complete provision of exclusivity. I will take all your problems with me. Just tell me. Tell me you don't have notes, I'll give you notes. Oh, you don't know how to talk to your boss, I'll tell you. I'll take care of all your problems. And then when they finally go out and tell her, hey, listen, I like you, you just never made her feel special, man. Think about, I'll give you another example. Think about Harvard University in Boston and think about Amity University in Noida. Harvard says, listen, only 1% of 1% people who apply get in. Amity says, okay, you have money, apply, we'll let you in. What is more special? What builds more anticipation in your heart? What gets your heart racing? Think about IIT and Amity, bro. Forget Harvard. Think about IIT and Amity. Are you more tense when you're giving your JEE exam or when you're waiting for your JEE results? When you're applying to McKinsey and waiting to get the offer letter or rejection from McKinsey? Or when you're writing your Amity exam or when you're writing your school exam and so on and so forth? It goes back to the same point about imperfect information. That is why understanding mating, dating, economics and signaling is important. Because exclusivity is what creates value under imperfect information. This is key. This is extremely important for you to understand. That there is a time and place. There is a system through which you give somebody access to exclusive things. Once I've communicated to somebody I kind of like you and then I take them to one of the most expensive restaurants to eat in, great. Once I've told somebody I like them and then I give them undivided attention when they need it, great, they'll feel so special. But before any of that's been said, and you're just like, I'm available for you, whatever you need, I will do this, blah, blah. Bad. Imagine if Harvard just allowed you to walk in and sit in one of their classes, or IIT was like, okay, yeah, take whatever we have. Yeah, come shower in our changing rooms. You would never respect IIT in the same way. This is a mistake so often made by men. Anyway, these are the things you can do. Intent, being not too nice, going on adventures, being a fast-paced person, telling good stories, having the ability to play, and exclusivity that will immediately add more tension, more chemistry into your interactions. And I'm sure a lot of people who've been through friend zones have already found something that hits them. Something they're like, yeah, shit, fuck. Like, I've done this mistake before. Because there are at least two huge moments where I've been friend zoned. They were both back in my late teens, 18, 17, 18, 19, right? And I had to very quickly realize that this is going to happen with me more often than not if I do not have a strategy in place to avoid it. And so I'm going to give you my strategy in just a second. But let me tell you, the first instance was pretty normal, dude. Like, I was just in high school, right? I was 17. I liked this girl. I told her I liked her. Actually, now that I think of it, there's more than two. But I straight up told her, I was like, listen, I like you. And I had done no homework on the attraction front. Like, I was not an attractive dude. I was overweight, so on and so forth. And we'd had no conversation. There was no interaction. Not going to work, right? And the second time, I had lost a lot of weight. I'd become more in shape. But with this woman, I took too long. And I did not follow the principle of exclusivity at all. Like, I remember the day I told her I liked her, I sneaked her into this school in Faridabad. If people know APJ school in Faridabad, we sneaked into APJ school. We were standing under a tree. It was raining. And I'd gotten beers and flowers and everything. And then like halfway through it, and I'm like, I like you. And she's like, oh, I like you, but as a friend. And I realized I was like, something's wrong with the way I'm going about this shit. So I needed a foolproof strategy. And this strategy served me for the last 9 odd years. Works perfectly fine. You know very quickly where this is going. And yeah, it'll work for you. Tell me if it does, but I'll tell you. Step number 1, when you're in an interaction with a woman, between week 1 and week 4, express intent. Don't think I will give and one day I will ask and then she will like me. Bad idea. Bad idea. You are not just making things worse for her, but for yourself and for you over a period of time. Now, I'm not saying you meet her right now, tell her tomorrow you like her. Bad idea. But between week 1 and week 4, and week 1 is also an arbitrary number, week 4 is also an arbitrary number. After you've had sufficient interaction, after you've spoken to her enough, make sure you express intent in one of two ways, either by asking her out or by giving her a compliment. Step 2, and listen to this very carefully. This is a mistake very attractive men make. This is a mistake all men I know make. This is a mistake you might be like, bro, you are so successful and famous and rich and good looking. Why are you making? Everybody makes this mistake. Express only as much as you are sure about. There is no real way in hell that you, no matter how long you've been speaking to this girl, you've been speaking to her for 6 months, there is no way you love her. So stop saying that. The problem is, in the dating economic world where you are negotiating for each other's company, you are overcommitting. You are over bargaining. And when you over bargain in the imperfect information model, you undervalue yourself. Now, if this is too complicated, go back and listen to it again. I'll give you a second. The problem, my friend, is in the first week, in the first 6 months of whatever interaction you've had, you like her at best. In 2 weeks' time, you think you like her. You like talking to her. You find her adorable. Those are things that are true. Say only that. This is one of those life-changing things that I cannot tell you how much it will help you. Because what happens is, bro, sometimes, things are going fine. I am attractive enough, she's attractive enough, we are talking to each other. I now want to express intent and I'm like, listen, I think I like you quite a lot. And she's like, wait, I'm only beginning to like you. This is too much. The economics has failed. She's valuing herself here, you're valuing yourself here. Not going to work out. She's getting the sentiment that, well, he clearly likes me way too much so fast. That means he must not be a valuable demander enough. No. You have no idea how many men make these mistakes. Only express to the degree you are sure of. Got it? Number 3, and this is something you can apply whenever. Ask a woman what kind of a man she likes. When you're in an interaction and you're kind of unsure if she likes you or not, ask her what kind of a man do you like. And you'll see instantly, straight up, she will literally describe the most obvious quality about you if she's into you. This is an actual invitation you're giving a woman to drop hints. When you say this, she knows this is a moment where she should either drop a hint for yes or no. When you say something like, hey, so what kind of a guy do you like? When I say that and say the woman likes me, she'll describe the most obvious fact about me. Self-awareness, well-read, educated, articulate, tall, strong, broad, leader-like, whatever. Stuff that is true about me. Very obviously. If she doesn't like me, she'll say something dumb like, I like guys who work in finance. Like, it'll be just an obvious hint that it's not me. Because nobody really has a strict point to the T type, or people don't really know their type strictly. They come up with answers to those questions. And that is a moment you're allowing her to give you an answer without saying yes or no. Ask her, what kind of a guy do you like? And you'll see it. Number 4, and this is very important, do not be so afraid of losing her. When you are very afraid of losing her, you don't tease her, you don't disagree with her, you don't say no, you are never assertive, you don't play around with her, you answer all her questions. You're just a bad negotiator. You are failing to understand the golden rule of negotiations. The one who cares about it less generally wins. When you are so afraid of losing her, you are playing it way too safe and it's not exciting and interesting enough. There is no chemistry you are building. You're walking down a road of where you'll most likely, you're going to end up losing her. Don't be so afraid of losing her. See this as play. See this as ras, if you understand what that means. But having said that, these are 4 steps I use that work tremendously. Like, you may still get rejection. Rejection's part of the game. You have to get this down. She's not your type. She's busy. Things will not work out. Whatever. That's fine. But you will never get friend zone. And you will never get friend zone on that cosmic level where it shakes the shit out of your life. Right? Having said that, for people that are that love this, that are fond of this, please make sure you subscribe if you haven't. 2, we are going to be doing some interesting stuff around dating. I'll put a link in the description here. Please sign up for that. You'll get early access and discounts around that. 3, if you want to learn how to talk to people better, storytelling, how to build tension, how to take risks in conversation, how to not be afraid psychologically, all of that shit. Art of conversation, we've been saying that for a very long time. But actually forget it. Number 4, if you have any more questions, please put them in the comments here. Like, I'll get the best people to answer those questions, then I'll spend enough time answering those questions for you, right? Interact. I like it. And number 5, if you want to learn how to get more attractive, I'm attaching Fundamentals of Attraction right here. You can go check it out. It's free. It's an hour-long, brilliant piece that covers everything from the biology to the culture of attraction in men. I'll see you on the other side.